Hey, you're listening to the Printmaker podcast, where each month you'll follow one photographer's journey through the struggles and successes of switching their business from shoot and burn to in-person sales. So, if you're ready to learn how to sell your work without selling your soul, keep listening because we're getting started right now. Hey, this is Chris. I'm one of the co-founders here at the Printmaker system and your host here on the Printmaker podcast. So this week we are picking up where we left off with Victoria Mullaley. She is a portrait photographer from Mico, Texas, just outside of San Antonio. Last week we kind of got a baseline of where her business is right now and where she wants it to be. This week we start really doing the work by digging into her products and her pricing. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Cool. Hey, Victoria, thanks so much for coming back. I'm excited to talk with you this week about your products and your pricing. I think that we're going to really dig into a lot of this. Let's go ahead and dive in. Last week, we kind of got this baseline of what your business looks like right now, and we got an idea of where we want to try to take it over the course of the next month. Today, I really wanted to start digging into the mechanics of where your business is and what we need to be doing to start transitioning that over to where you want to be. And we're going to start today now with your products and your pricing. So let's just dive right into that. Okay, so time out. At this point in the recording, we really started digging into each and every product that she offers. And I realized when we were done recording that it didn't really tell you guys where you could get your hands on this. So if you go to theprintmakerpodcast.com/2, so that's theprintmakerpodcast.com/2, you will see links to download not only her price list, the exact one that we're going through, so you can follow along, but you'll also see a way that you can download the exact spreadsheet that we talk about, the one that helped her calculate out all of her prices and really list all of her products and everything. So theprintmakerpodcast.com/2, and you can get your hands on all of these things. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so I have your pricing workbook in front of me. I'm going to just kind of cruise through this real quick. So this, for anybody listening, this is a worksheet that we have, or a spreadsheet that we have that's included inside the Paths of Printmaker. And what she's gone through and done is entered in every single product that she wants to offer, including every size of every product and all of the prices for every product. And what it did was calculate out the suggested retail price for all of those products and all of those sizes. She basically has kind of one source of truth here for all things products and pricing. So what I'm going to do is just kind of cruise through this worksheet and just talk about the different products that you have in here. And we'll just start with listing out the different products. So it looks like from a wall art standpoint, you're going to be offering 1.5" canvas wraps. Looks like from White House Custom Color, standouts, barnwood framed prints with and without trim, wood prints, distressed framed prints, metal prints, and it looks like maybe these are all from White House. Oh, is that metal prints? Was that just left in there, or is that something that you're actually you are gonna offer?
Well, remember I have two price lists. One's like my generic one and the other one was more for seniors.
Yep.
So I did have metal prints on my senior price list.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great plan. I think that metal prints work really well for high school seniors. So that's a great product to have for them. And it looks like you're going to do easel back and float mount prints, which is great.
Yeah, on the smaller ones will be cool for like their desks, I think, or...
Yep. Yeah, it's a really easy upsell for like, oh, hey, do you want something for the office? Something like that. Especially when you see that they loved a specific image. If they ordered it in wall art for the house, that's a really easy one. Like, let's just put this on a small 5x7, metal print for your desk in your office or something like that. So for albums, it looks like you're going to be offering a press printed book from White House Custom Color, leather albums from White House Custom Color, an accordion album, and wallet, or is that wallet or square?
Yeah, they offer them in two different.
Got it. Okay, cool. So the accordion album, either wallet or square. Excellent. I think these are really good options for your books and your albums because it gives you kind of these 4 levels of product. So when we look at pricing similar types of products, especially when we start looking at things like packages, So for the wedding album or the wedding photographers out there or high school senior photographers who really deal in packages, I want you to keep this kind of thing in mind. And you're doing it really well here with these books. So what we really like seeing is 4 different product options within a specific product type. And when you start looking at how to price those, what we want to see is kind of what we call the kitchen sink. So I think it's easiest if we kind of look at this from a wedding photographer standpoint. And I know that that's not you and you don't ever want to be that, but it's really easy to understand packages when you look at a wedding photographer. So we like to see 4 packages for wedding photographers. We like to see one that we call the kitchen sink package. It's everything in the world that someone could possibly ever want. So if we translate this over to your albums, this would be the highest end album that you'd ever want, right? And that's really there for what's called price anchoring. It makes everything else look good. So it's amazing. So again, going back to the wedding photographer analogy, it's the package that includes everything you could possibly ever want. It's got your makeup and the limo ride and the this and the that, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. But it's $10,000 and I'm not going to spend that, right? So they're like, okay, well, if that's what the top package is, then what's the bottom one? So they typically won't go down from the top one to the next one down. They'll say, wow, if that's the most expensive, what's the least expensive? They go down to the least expensive, and it's it kind of has one thing in there. It's not really what they want, but it's cheap. So it's like, okay, well, maybe this is doable. I'm going to move my way up to the next package up. Okay, so I go from the top package. Wow, that's way too much. I can't pay that, but look at all the cool stuff that's in it. Down to the bottom one, like, yeah, it's cheap, but it doesn't really have what I want. Then from there, we go up to one package that's like, wow, that's really good, and I think I can afford that. Right? That one looks really good, but it doesn't have that one thing that I need. So for a wedding photographer, this would probably be the digital files if we're looking at packages, right? So we're going to go top package includes everything in the kitchen sink. Bottom package is like you get coverage and that's it. And then the next one up, you get an engagement session and maybe you get a small album, but you don't get the digital files. And now they move up to the one that we really want them to get, which is probably, hopefully, our best cost of goods sold. So we're making the most profit off of it. And it seems like a deal, and it includes that kind of carrot on a stick, that thing that they really want. So again, for wedding photographers, this would be something like the digitals, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you pair packaging like that with an a la carte price menu. So let's say those prices go $10,000 for that top product, right? And then down to the bottom one is $4,000 and it's just coverage. And people are like, no, I don't really want that. They go up and the next one up is maybe $5,500 and it includes everything except for that thing they really, really wanted, which is the disc, right? And then so you go from $5,500 to $6,500, right? So the next one, the one that we really want them to get, $6,500, it includes the disc, right? So that's where we're going to use our a la carte pricing to show how great a deal that is. Maybe the disc of images is $2,000, but the difference between the package that is almost there and the one that we want them to get is only $1,000. So they look and they say, oh, well, this one comes with everything that I want, including the disc, and it's $1,000 less than if I were to get the one below it and add the disc to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So now how do we translate this to something like a press printed album or to an album? So you take this same concept and you apply it to your entire price list, and you have things in groups of 4. You're offering 4 of lots of things. So albums and books are a really, really good example here. So one thing you might do is, you might offer the most amazing leather-bound Fineo album or something like that as your top one. And that's like a $1,500 album or something like that, right? And it's like, wow, that's beautiful and it's amazing and I love it, but it's $1,500 for an album of my family. So I just don't know if I can swing that, right? So now using the same logic, they go all the way down to the bottom and they're like, oh, the bottom one is accordion books and they're like $200. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can afford that, but I don't really want that. That's not really what I want. So from there, you might move up. Instead of to a press printed book, you might go to like a coffee table book that has the magazine style pages in it, as your kind of second to bottom offering. And then the one that you really want them to get is that press printed book. In fact, with this one, they get more pages in it than they do the leather album, and it's less expensive. And if it's the same as what I'm thinking, you have a great cost of goods sold on that. So you can actually make more money by selling that than you could by selling the high-end album. And that high-end album is really just there to make everything else look more affordable.
Yeah.
This is actually the exact setup that we used ourselves. It was a really nice Fineo fine art leather album, and then the next one down was this leather press printed book from White House. And our clients, I mean, they could tell the difference because like the Fineo album had like a brocade design or something on it. But other than quality, we can see it because we're photographers. But to them, they're like, no, these seem similar in quality. And we're like, yeah, it's like $900 difference in cost of goods sold. So, okay, you should get that one. Like I will sell you that all day long. So that's what I really like seeing this. I would love to see you maybe add in one more offering. And I really think that coffee table book with the magazine style pages would be a really good fit for this. So,
okay. Should I call it coffee table book?
Yeah. Yeah, call it a coffee table book. And then everybody's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And you may sell that. Great. You have a good cost of goods sold on that too. It's really going to kind of psychologically direct people to that product that you really want them to get. Right. And they're going to get the best deal on it. They're going to get more pages. So it is really better for them as well. Okay, cool. So now we have accessories. Accessories, that same concept could apply, but the products tend to be so different that it might not be the same. The concept may not be the same, if that makes sense. So, a mini print wrap is far different from a photo cube. So you can't really offer like, okay, I've got these kind of print wraps, but then these tiny ones that you're not going to want, like these are postage stamp size. Like you're just not going to find that same correlation there. But yeah, so you've got mini print wrap sets, you've got mini canvas wrap sets. These are all from Artsy Couture, which are great products. The photo cubes and the gallery stands. I think that this is a great set of products for your accessories as well.
Those are good for like at the end they might have a few images left over that they didn't actually purchase, and we can say, why don't you
exactly
throw a little tiny print wrap or something.
Yep. So we'll get into some of those details next week. But yes, that's exactly the point. You go through, you're going to start your sales meeting with anything that you've pre-designed and anything that you've kind of started setting expectations for from the very beginning for wall art and albums. So depending on what your big thing is, and we'll dig into that today as well, what you want to be known for. Do you want to be known for wall art? Do you want to be known for albums? Do you want to be known for a specific type of wall art or a specific type of album? That kind of stuff. But the point is, sales meeting, we're going to start big. We're going to fill the biggest stuff. Typically for that's wall art. Let's take their absolute favorite images and let's put them on the wall. Cool. Now, are there images left? Do you want to put those into an album? That kind of thing. So yeah, great. Let's put those, you have 10 images left. Let's drop those right into this album. And then exactly what you were just saying, where we go from there and we say, I noticed that you really loved this one. Why don't we put that on one of these, gallery wraps, the mini print wraps. We'll do a set of your 3 favorite images from the session on these mini print wraps. And that way you can have one at the house and you can give one to the grandparents and you can keep one at the office or something like that. That's where you're just filling in the gaps. And none of these things are salesy. We're going to get into this a bunch next week because I know that there are people listening right now, and you might even feel this way as well, except you're cheating because you've already gone through the course. So you know that the way that this is done sets these expectations right from the start. So there's none of this is a surprise when you get to this, and you really are just trying to find a home for anything that they want. This is not like forcing any products upon them. What do you want? Great, cool. Let's figure out what to do with that. Here are the things that we can do with those images that you love. And that's exactly what you were just saying. So yes, these are perfect for kind of those quote unquote upsells. I know that you said that your this gift prints list is not actually what you're going to be offering. Do you know yet what you want to offer?
Actually, no. The gift prints I am offering, like just the little basic prints. It was that table we just went through, the gift wrap sets.
Oh, got it.
Offered those type of things yet, but I want to add them probably to my products.
Well, you accidentally chose great products then. So good job. Good job. No, those are really good options. I'm guessing those were already in the spreadsheet when you opened it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You're welcome.
You're there. So
awesome.
thanks.
This is great. So then gift prints. I love this. You're offering just 4 different sizes. Thank you. Clients don't need a list of 50 different sizes of gift prints. And I think that you've chosen the right sizes, with one small caveat, but it's more of a personal opinion for me. But I like that, it's 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, 11x14. The outer ranges, I think, are fantastic. Obviously, 4x6 is something that everybody's going to want. All the way up to your 11x14. I think that that's the largest size that you can go with while still calling it a gift print. Anything larger than that, I think we really start getting into either let's put this on the wall, or even our 11x14, we typically call the tabletop print. We would try to get that mounted on some sort of easel or something like that, so that they can just display that on a tabletop. But yeah, I like this. My only caveat was that 8x10, and that's just personal. I hate 8x10s. I think that they are the devil. Because people don't understand the laws of physics, and that a 4x6 print.
I see a lot of 8x12. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, so the reason for the 8x12 is because it's the same aspect ratio as a 4x6. So all modern cameras shoot 2 to 3 aspect ratio, which is the same as a 4x6, which is the same as an 8x12. When you start looking at 8x10s, that's kind of an artifact of older cameras that used to shoot 4 to 5 aspect ratio. That's why the 8x10 existed. And we have clients all the time who do not understand that I cannot fit the entire image that they see in a digital file onto an 8x10. I have to crop it. And
that drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot bend the laws of physics for you.
Yeah.
I just can't make that fit. So we just stopped offering 8x10s and started offering 8x12s instead. And
did you ever get people that were like, well, this is weird, why don't you do 8x10? Or like, is it an odd size to have? Is it much different than an 8x10? Because this is new to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound like I'm being trite, but it's just an extra inch on either side. It's absolutely different. You will probably have to get a custom frame for it if it's going to be framed. But otherwise, the reason, if we did have anybody who'd be like, wait, why are you doing that? Then what we would do is kind of explain what we just said. Look, actually, I would tell them the story that I'm about to tell you. We had a bride who really wanted an 8x10 of a full family photo, one of the formals from a wedding. In this beautiful church in Nashville, Scarrett Bennett, and they just had to have it on an 8x10. And I'm like, okay, but I hope you don't like that uncle and these 2 cousins, because they're going to get cut off the edges, right? And so after back and forth and like 4 hours of editing to stretch the organ in the background so that it could fit on an 8x10, we just decided never again. We're just going to offer 8x12s. And so yes, it will come up. People will be like, 8x12, I don't think I've ever seen one of those. And then you can just explain, hey, you know what? It's a 4x6 aspect ratio, so we get to keep everything in your image on the photo. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I never thought of that. And then they'll probably still not really understand what you're saying, but they'll go with it. And you'll be like, that's fine. Right?
I'll know what I'm talking about, so.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we do 8x12s instead of 8x10s, because 8x10s are from the devil.
I'll be making that change, because I've run into that problem so many times, and it's like, well, you have to pick a different picture because this isn't going to fit your 8x10.
Yep, exactly. So let's keep going on here. It looks like you are also looking at offering some cards, flat cards, and boutique cards, all from White House Custom Color, some senior rep cards, and some wallets. Ooh, let's talk wallets in a second. I saw you sigh. What?
Yeah. Well, I want to include cards because of I want to make that like graduation invite available, or, something like that. Like, yes, I do graduation cards. Here's my prices. But man, there's so many stinking options. And so I typed those in, and then I realized I didn't even look at, the whole other like foil pressed option, which is like trifolds and flats and all these. And I was like, man, I'm just going to leave those off for now. But is this good? Just these two?
I think these are great. So I love that you brought that up, because this is going to be the case for every single person listening to this who has never offered a product before. You're going to sit down and you're going to say, okay, I listened to this podcast, and if Victoria can do it, I can do it, and so they're going to get in there and they're going to be like, I'm going to start offering products. So they're going to start looking around, and they're going to see 1,000 million products available, and they're going to be overwhelmed. You know what? I'm going to stop talking about they. You listening to this right now, this is going to happen. You're going to start diving into products. You're going to be excited until you're not, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, there are way too many options out there. So to that, I will say something that you are going to hear over and over and over forever and ever from me. Make it work, then make it better. Make it work, then make it better. What that means is just choose something, anything right now, and just start offering it. Then start tweaking as you go. So for your example, if you start offering flat graduation cards and somebody says, man, I saw these really cool ones that my friend got, and they had like this foil press or whatever on it, then you can be like, yeah, I can get those for you. I'll have to get back to you later this week on what the price will be, but yeah, I could get those for you. Now, maybe I should start looking into offering those. Or, maybe if it's not going to take that long, you go out and you find one that you might like to offer. And it's just like the most basic version of it. Don't get bogged down in all of the options, all of the little things. Like, use those for custom ones, like for that one client that like, oh man, I remember in the back of my head that there's this option to do this crazy cut, and with the foil and with this and the bells and the whistles, and it sings to you when you open it, and all of that stuff. Like, when you have that perfect client, be like, you know what? I think there's something available for you. I'll need to look into it a little bit more, but I really want to, I'll get back to you later this week. Let me show this to you. And then that's when you dig in. When you have that client that you're like, I know this person would want that. But otherwise, make it work, then make it better. Make it work today, make it better tomorrow. Circle back and say, hey, what else could I do to improve these? Maybe this comes down to kind of auditing your product list as you go. Maybe you're not seeing things sell as well as you thought they would, or as well as you think they should. Then in that case, it could be either, okay, maybe my price is off, or maybe it's just not a cool enough product. Maybe I need to change, the little things about it. So for a card, maybe I need to offer something that seems a little bit more different than what they might be able to get elsewhere. Or maybe they just don't want it, and I don't need to offer that anymore. So there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of tweaking forever. Like, your product list is never going to be done. If you are doing your job right every single year, you're going to be looking at your product list and saying, hey, you know what? What didn't work real well last year? What did work real well last year? What should I tweak? What should I change? What's new that's come out that people can't get at Costco yet? And like, okay, cool. Let me think about offering those things. So your product and your pricing really are kind of these living, breathing things that will always be evolving. But our goal for today, and for anybody listening, is to just get something out there right now, so that you don't get bogged down. You kind of run into this, analysis paralysis, where you're like, I can't move until everything's perfect. Forget that. Screw that. Pick something, run with it. Okay. So I think the cards, flat cards, petite cards, greeting card style, all of those things are great. Rep cards, I think, are great as well. Wallets, I would really gauge the demand for wallets now, because I feel like most senior photographers are not able to sell them very well anymore, because nobody wants them. It's, I just share them on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever's the new thing.
Well,
today.
It's funny you say that, because one of my 2 past IPS that I did, one was for a senior, and that was the main thing she wanted, was wallets for the invite cards to put them in.
Perfect.
cards.
Okay. Yeah. Then in that case, don't listen to me. If they want them, sell them.
Okay. We'll
Absolutely sell them. Yeah. Leave them on there until you see that
it's just not worth it.
that's not worth it anymore. The other thing that I didn't like about wallets is just about me. I tend to shoot really, really tight. I just really like when my subject fills the frame, and Adrienne really hates when I do that, because then if she tries to sell a wallet, it cuts off like half of their head because there's so much bleed around the edge of a wallet. So that's one of these things that, like, if you're cognizant of it, then it's not going to be a problem. I was terrible about it. Every time Adrienne would be like, I couldn't sell that wallet because you shot too tight. Thanks, Chris. I'm like, sorry, but it would look great on the wall. And they're like, yeah, but they didn't want it on the wall. They wanted it on a wallet. All right, fine. Okay, so Victoria and I went on for another 20 minutes or so and really started digging into the pricing aspect of things. And rather than make you sit through 45-ish minutes of products and pricing, what I've decided to do is just split this into 2 smaller episodes. So I will get the second half of this interview out the door later this week, so you can still listen to it before next week's interview. I just didn't want you to have to sit through math now that you have all of this stuff to process. So here's what you should do. Head over to theprintmakerpodcast.com/2. Again, that's theprintmakerpodcast.com/2, and go grab her pricing and her product list so you can kind of follow through with that. And then make sure you grab that spreadsheet, because it's going to not only help you kind of keep all of these things organized and all in one place, but it's also going to give you a really good idea of how to price these products, or at least what the prices should be if you want to remain profitable, and then carry that into the second half of this interview. And I think you'll have a much clearer picture of what it is that we're talking about when the second half of this interview comes out. All right. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If so, please give us a review over on iTunes. It goes a long, long way for us. And make sure you go grab those resources from theprintmakerpodcast.com/2. And I will see you a little later this week.